a place where we all come from many different places, many different creeds, many different colors. We lay down our weapons and we listen. I'm here for peace. Welcome to the Watering Podcast. Hey fam. Welcome to the Watering Hole Podcast, a place where we all come from many different places, many different creeds, many different colors. And we come to the watering hole to be together. We lay down our weapons and we listen and we drink from the same source. This is the intention of this podcast, is to remember that we all come to the same watering hole to drink. And when we come together and we bring peace amongst our differences and not allow our differences to separate us in these times, especially what's going on with politics in the world, especially what's going on with the Great Awakening, especially what's going on with money and family and relationships. There's just so much that can pull us apart. And I'm here for peace. And it's taken me a while to make this podcast. It's going to be an emotional one, so thank you for being here. I'm going to be going into where I've been and where we're going. And it's going to be raw. It's going to be real. You know, we're going to hang out. We fam, we fam. I'm all about that authenticity and also just allowing space to express in the moment and also talk about some really hard conversations and talk about things that I have been going through behind the scenes. I will start by saying that my journey, I have a podcast that I made of my water journey, my water healing journey, that I talk a lot about my body, my feminine, my journey of healing trauma and sexual trauma and generational trauma and what I've been through. So you can dive deeper into that journey. This specifically, I'm going to really hone it into the last couple years on what I've been through and share a little bit about what I've been going through behind the scenes, because I have privatized a lot of it. I've been in this intentional incubation and this real safe space on what my mission is. And some of you might be following my journey. You might have even watched my YouTube channel back in the day, 2018, 2019. I shared a lot of water codes. I'm known for the water codes. If you don't know who I am, I really am a big advocate for sharing truth and discovering it and being curious and being open. And I built my whole brand in person at first. I'm a big proponent of network marketing, word of mouth marketing, old school, person to person. I'm all about that in person and building that community, and then also online. And I really didn't actually transition to online. I had built my whole business in person until 2017. And in 2017, I left society, got my backpack, and broke up with my boyfriend at the time and went traveling to South America and Japan and different places that I pretty much went on this journey of discovering myself. And in that journey of discovering myself, and I came back into society, it kind of all hit me. And so as I came back, that's when I started to reintegrate and started my Instagram, my YouTube, and I had been building it and sharing codes. And in 2020, when everything happened, I was still doing things in person. I never stopped. I just kept going. And I just still lived my life as an entrepreneur amongst all the things that were going on in society. And I didn't let it hold me back from my people, from my mission. I still did in-person events. So it's been a journey. It's definitely been a really big journey. I feel like over the years, and also I'm big on the sovereignty piece of life, and I was traveling during times where they were telling us to wear masks, and so I navigated a lot of that. I am very big on I'm not going to say the word for the sake of this podcast, and the knowing that my body can heal itself and that I don't need something outside of me to protect me from a virus. All of you can probably guess where I stand in that. And I have a very deep belief in that. I work with children with autism, and I know a lot about healing around detox from certain things that society and the medical system implement, and what we've been through the last couple years. And as you can see, I've gotten really good at going around certain words so that I'm, getting the point across, and also really choosing what to say in this, and also being open. I don't hate on people who have different views. You're going to learn a lot about my views during this podcast and the different angles that I have, and also just my openness, a lot of openness. And I'll share a little bit about how I've been humbled in the past couple years. So during COVID, I feel like there had been so many levels up that I was going through. I was traveling, I was working with water, I was really involved in the spiritual aspects of water, and I had an experience where I think a lot of people thought I was claiming I was the Messiah, or claiming that I was like the chosen one, and certain things that I was doing, some people just didn't understand, or they would call it blasphemy, or, that sort of thing, and demonize what I was doing. And all throughout my process of working with water, I mean, it was always about the water and creator, and all the middle stuff. I wasn't necessarily in, you can say, the spiritual communities, the new age communities, but I was around it. And I've always been a little bit removed, because I think being an entrepreneur and talking about money, I mean, it kind of protects you from certain, disassociations that go on in those communities. And it was in 2021 when I had a very big initiation, and somebody that I love dearly just completely put me on blast, and cancel culture, the whole shebang. And although it wasn't on a mass, you could say, influencer scale, it still was blasting me open in that way and calling me out on a lot of things. And it definitely triggered me in my journey. And so back then is really when I started to shift and pivot into my business and into money. Cheers. And I really stepped into the professional world. There was just a lot of disassociation going on in the community, and I had to remove myself from multiple spiritual communities and religious communities and certain communities that just were not healthy, and that were at the level of like so much analyzation with the mind that it was just so deep. And I had felt like being put on blast and being canceled. I mean, it hurt. It really struck me in places that I just like really hurt. And so on my journey of pivoting in 2021, I also went through a legal situation, which you're going to hear more about that in a separate podcast as well. There were situations with my brand, and there were situations with accusations about me stealing my brand and lying and being a scammer. And so it was like boom, 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 boom. Like I was getting hit left and right and up and down and all around. 2021 was my year of just really being, you could definitely say, beaten. And because that same year, I also got hit with compliance. And what I mean by that is there is a company that regulates what we can share online. And if you claim that you heal from anything, this company can give you a $50,000 fine. And I had a video up of my water healing journey, and I had to take my whole YouTube channel down. My website got taken down, my podcast got taken down, my song got taken down, all because of these multiple situations, whether it was the legal situation or whether it was a compliance situation. And so everything that I had created thus far just like got wiped out. And I had to pivot really, really fast. Luckily, I had a really good foundation with one of my brands, Merchant Mermaid. So I moved everything over to there and just learned a little bit more. Yeah, I learned a little bit more about what's really going on behind the scenes. And if you didn't know this, you can't claim that anything cures anything in America. I mean, and as soon as you say those words, you are already like it's out of compliance in the commercial jurisdiction. And so getting hit with all of that in 2021, I needed to go into an incubation phase. And I had people accusing me of things, telling me I was manipulative, telling me I was a scammer, telling me I was demonic. And just, I really like, it's just, the left, right, up, down, really, it took a beating for sure. And when I visualize myself from back then, I mean, I had to question myself so deeply. I questioned myself. I questioned my path. I questioned my business. I questioned my career. I mean, it's funny. I feel like the haters are, I'm like, like, it's like haters think you really don't know what they're saying. You know what, like, if you have haters, you know what they're saying. You just don't feed it, okay? And I will tell you this, that my human design is a 5-2, and I can see the projection field, and I also get a lot of projections. And during this time, I really had to do a lot of deep, deep, deep questioning of my entire foundation and security of myself and my being. And so I've been chilling, I've been in my incubation. I've been in my, like, I just need to hermit, be alone in this. And it was needed. I wouldn't say I was hiding. I feel that I was being put through these situations for a reason. And I see other people that have also gotten canceled in the cancel culture and put through situations like this because we are being shaped to stand for truth. Because when you go through that type of beating, all that's left is the truth. So the lies are oftentimes beaten out of you. And I know that's kind of a gnarly word to use. Yeah, I mean, just feel me out, okay? Feel me out. I utilize words very intentionally to convey a message, and also it's truly how it felt at the time. And I feel that a lot of us who have been through these things and question ourselves so deeply, I mean, that point of questioning yourself so deeply and sitting with the angles of everything that everyone else is talking about and all the haters. I mean, it was like, oof, it just hit me like this massive atmospheric, like invisible place that I was rising into. And so I had to find my innocence. And I used to teach a lot on innocence when I was doing a lot of sexual healing. And this drop has navigated me back to myself, is knowing my innocence. And I'm also innocent motivated in the human design. And it's hard to be the one to be standing up and standing out in front of everyone to nitpick who you are. And it's also when you know your innocence and you have multiple angles coming from you trying to take your innocence and say that you are doing something that is out of integrity and just, I mean, really, really intense accusations. And through that process, I found my innocence, and it was hard, and it made me stronger. It made me who I am today. I had this vision when it was all happening that I was in creator's court. And if you know about commerce, you probably know a little bit about the different jurisdictions, and there's something called divine jurisdiction. And I felt like my innocence inside of it all like really protected me. And I feel like God made me this way for a reason. And doesn't mean that I wasn't innocent in certain aspects. I had said things and made my own accusations, and I was going through a really big like take responsibility for certain aspects and also trust your innocence, because you know what you're doing is good. It's for the good. And I know I needed to learn all of that, because in creator's court, you are not guilty until proven innocent. You are innocent until proven guilty. And I knew when all these things were happening, again, whether it be the legal things and the compliance things and all the things behind the scenes, I just knew. And I knew my truth, and I knew my innocence, and I just really returned to my innocence. And it can be really hard when people are accusing you of, being a certain way or being demonic even. That was probably the gnarliest thing that I went through. And in creator's court, truth is always going to prevail. Truth is always revealed. So I didn't feel that I had to fight for my truth. I didn't feed it. I didn't argue. I didn't go to war. I just sat back and did the inner work instead of fed it or responded publicly to the accusations. And so I really leaned back, and I leaned into myself, and I leaned into that guidance with creator, and it has strengthened my bond so much. So much as a woman, and like all the things that I've navigated, and that's where I've been processing that, and still yet keeping my brand going, keeping my content going, keeping my businesses going, running everything with people not even really knowing what was going on behind the scenes. And I preferred it that way because I needed that privacy. And I think some people didn't even know that I was hermiting in this way. A lot of people think I put a lot out there, and I'm like, y'all don't even know, I think that's just part of being a 5-2 is, seeing that I'm here for sharing and also privatizing. So publicizing certain things and privatizing certain things. So I went through a really big transition back in 2021. There was a lot about the new age, false light, and waking up to indigenous teachings, and also I had studied the priestess path before, so I already had a really strong relationship with Yeshua, also known as Jesus, in which a lot of people don't know that a lot of the priestess arts are surrounding Yeshua. And so I already had those foundations of spirituality coming in, and especially with my indigenous lineage and re-indigenizing myself, which is where I actually got some pushback as well. Because I see the trauma around cultural appropriation, and I feel being a bridge and being an entrepreneur, people automatically would think I was a capitalist, but yet I cherish the indigenous teachings and my ancestral lineage so much, and I was discovering that and reclaiming that. So there was also projections and stories coming from me at that front as well. And that had been really hard to navigate because I, as an indigenous woman and reclaiming that, it's a very small path that I feel I had to walk. And if I got off the path, I was quickly corrected. And it showed me my own privilege, and it really started taking me through the process of being humbled. So, I'm going to be talking about some of these transitions that I see people going through on another podcast that I made about like the New Age to Jesus and the New Age to Indigenous, which spirituality as a whole and why people are finding religion again and just all of that. I made a separate podcast for it because it desired its own container. What I can say is that I really reconnected with my indigenous roots, and I started relearning my ancestral teachings and practices, and that's very important to me. And while during that, I've gotten pushback from it, and I think the most pushback I would say is from being a network marketer and people automatically thinking that I'm in it for the money and I'm greedy and I had to navigate. You see all these realms I've had to navigate, and it was like Creator was like, Jilly, just take one step at a time. And I call it sovereignly swimming. You're swimming through the lies to be in that truth, to be in the current of truth. And as I had been swimming through all of this, I've been called a cult leader. I mean, the accusations are just ridiculous. And again, having these types of accusations with people who, whether they're going through their own thing in life, I actually never fought back. And I never allowed myself to get caught into that drama because I know that I'm in Creator's court in divine jurisdiction and the truth is always going to be told. So I had to learn how to trust myself so that I could stand in the truth as I am today in my conviction. Because most people think that conviction comes from confidence. It doesn't. Conviction stands from truth. Standing in truth. And I am the only person that knows my true intentions. So if I have people in my corner telling me that I'm greedy and that I'm just doing this for the money, I've got to come back to myself and reestablish that trust within myself and say, no, Jilly, you know why you're here. You know why you're doing this. You have a good heart. You have a good heart. And that heart is a heart of gold. As we're calling it in our community, we're calling it the heart of gold. And it's this good heart here to do good and be good. And it was like Creator just threw me into all these projection fields to be a bridge. And I find that being a bridge, you kind of get all the things that the left hates about the right, and then you get all the things that the right hates about the left. And whether it be the minorities and hating on capitalism and capitalism hating on the poverty. And it's just all of these different lenses. When you're a bridge and when you're in the middle of it, things get dumped onto you. And that can be hard to navigate. And I find that I know so many of you are going to resonate with this because it just hurts, It hurts to see our people separated. And I know that part of my mission is to unite us, but not in this like woo-woo, out there way, like true uniting, true peace. And allowing my heart to be seen amongst what other people say about me, the characters that I am in their stories, and me admitting my mistakes in the past. Like, I've made mistakes, and I've done things in the past that I really had to admit and apologize for. And whether or not people forgive me, that's on their own. And it really come to this place of being humbled. And so that's what's been happening to me this past couple years, is being humbled and to be so full of love and so full of hope and trust that what we're doing in this great awakening, in our positioning, like, I'm a part of it and I'm here for it. And I represent the water, I represent the earth, I represent the air, the fire, my people, my indigenous lineage, and I represent so many women that stand with me. I know that these conversations that we're going to be having on this podcast, they're not easy. They're not easy. And I find that by laying down my guard, and I feel like Creator has just de-armored me. I knew this was going to be emotional. I'm all about the tears, by the way. I love crying, so thank you for listening. Just been through a lot, and I've taken my time with how I want to share and position myself, and I've questioned coming out, and I've questioned being a speaker, and I've questioned doing seminars, and I've been questioned so much. And I know what it's like to have rocks thrown at you and to come out stronger. And I'm by no means saying that I am perfect. I feel like actually what I'm doing is saying I'm not perfect. Like, I'm not perfect, but I'm showing up. And Creator has been continually leading me through my body, which you'll hear a lot more on my feminine podcast that I did about the body, and leading me to position myself to be humble enough to say, I don't know everything. Let me listen to my brothers and sisters. Let me show that we got to know who our enemies are, and it is not each other. And this is what these big corporations want. They want us to go against each other. The political environment that we're about to step in this year, later this year, with the presidential campaigns in the United States, like, we just are pitted against each other over and over and over again. And it's time for us to stand up for peace. And it's time for us to create environments where peace can actually happen. How can we get to a place of peace without talking about our differences and talking about different opinions and talking about the things that tear us apart? Because I know love is stronger. God's love is stronger than any of this human experience. So that's where I've been. I am very big on feeling emotions without drowning in them. I am really big on laughing. You're going to hear a lot of laughs. I'm a very goofy person myself. And if you have any nominations, if there's topics that you want me to cover, you can always fill out the form that says nominating for the watering hole. Who do we want to invite to the watering hole? Especially with what's going on in the world and with the different political parties as well. This is a place for that peace, but it's also a place that we not only talk about our differences and come to that peace, but also the solutions going forward in really being an embodiment of heaven on earth. And I think I've resisted saying that because I know a lot of people think I'm a little woo woo and I'm a little out there. Yet I'm here to be the miracle that I am and overflow as the fountain and the water that I feel that we all are. And I'm excited to share my heart and share this love that has been welling up within me for so long. It's like you can't contain it anymore, you know? Peace and love. It's here. And it's just so, like, that's what makes me cry the most is that I see it and it's just so beautiful. And sometimes I think about how many people don't believe it anymore and have lost hope because of our current system. Yeah. We're here for it. So thank you for being here. And here we go. Here we dive in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.